Alright guys, I'm back. Next subject. And don't you worry for all of you scientists out there, we're going to get into the DNA science pretty soon. But you know, we're gonna do this in parts, I've decided. So let's go ahead and talk about the next thing about DNA evidence in the Book of Mormon. You know, the anti-Mormons say, well, the Lamanites and the Nephites were a big culture. They're a big culture, and if that's so, then we should see that DNA impact. Once again, we'll get back into Lehi and Nephi and their chromosomes when we get into the science part of this discussion. But the reality is, we don't even know what Lehi's genetics look like. So, moving on, let's just talk about this large culture, the Lamanites, or the large culture of the Nephites. There was a publication in 1975, the December 1975 Ensign publication. In this article, he explains that the term Lamanite initially referred to the descendants of Laman, but shortly afterwards took on a broader term in which the name Lamanite referred to a religious or political faction, whose distinguishing feature was its opposition to the church. Okay, so was being a Lamanite or a Nephite an actual genetic trait, such as Caucasian or Asian? No, not at all. In the Book of Mormon, if you're a true critic, you realize that it started out that way, the followers of Nephi, the followers of Laman and Lemuel, but then very soon, became a political or religious stance all throughout the Book of Mormon. Not a genetic stance, and that's an important thing to note. You guys got to understand that. Okay, he continues in his article, lineage became an increasingly minor factor, and later there are many examples of Lamanites becoming Nephites, and Nephites becoming Lamanites. How is that possible if it's a genetic trait? Come on, guys. Okay, for nearly 200 years after the coming of Christ to the Americas, there were no Lamanites, nor any manner of ites, but they were in one, the children of Christ, and heirs to the kingdom of God. That's in 4th Nephi 1:17. That's in the Book of Mormon, so if you want, go ahead and look it up. Soon, however, a part of the people fell away and took upon them the name of Lamanites. Therefore, there began to be Lamanites again in the land. 4th Nephi 1:20. So again, not a genetic trait. You can't just have Lamanites disappear genetically and then reappear genetically. No, it's a culture, religion, political stance. Clearly, Lamanite in this case again refers to the state of righteousness of a political/religious group, presumably a composite of the descendants of many of the original colonists in the New World. Okay, 1975, again, the original descendants or colonists in the New World. Okay, the Lamanites of this definition survived beyond the close of the Book of Mormon record. Excuse me. And it is these people from whom the Lamanites of today descend. That is to say, they are the descendants of Lehi, Ishmael, and Zoram. That's in Doctrine and Covenants 3:17 through 18. They are the descendants of Mulek and others of his colony. And, again, 1975, here we go, here's a big quote. They may also be descended from other groups of whom we have no record. Certainly, they have mixed with many other lineages at the far reaches of their dispersal in the Americas and most of the islands of the Pacific since the time when Moroni bade them farewell in AD 421. Okay. So guys, once again, we're looking at an article in the Ensign explaining that we still don't believe and never have believed that all Native Americans are of Jewish descent. You know, looking at this, we knew a long time ago that this intermixing, you know, if a band of small people come and intermix in millions of people, guess what? You're not gonna pick up that genetic trait very easily, and there's gonna have to be an official study done for years and years to discover that DNA trait, if it's even able to be found anymore. Okay, so one more thing, and then I'll stop with quotes and we'll move on to some science. But in the 1960s, again, and I know this is getting repetitive, before DNA evidence, the first presidency allowed the church to publish a widely distributed pamphlet, "These Are the Mormons," by Richard L. Evans, reprinted from the Christian Herald in November 1960, which made this statement about the Book of Mormon peoples. As the Bible is to ancient Israel, so the Book of Mormon is to ancient America. It is part of a sacred and secular record of prophets and people who are among the ancestors of the American Indians, and covers principally the period from about 600 BC to 421 AD. These peoples were of Asiatic origin, of the house of Israel, and brought with them certain Old Testament texts. Let me read that sentence again. These peoples were of Asiatic origin, of the house of Israel, and brought with them certain Old Testament texts. I don't know if I'm looking at that statement and looking at the Book of Mormon and what Mormons truly believe. I'm pretty sure that we knew way before DNA evidence that the peoples inhabiting North and South America were of Asiatic origin. Thanks again.